Hi, I'm Randy Williams, and I'm back again to show you some more about Wing Chun Chi Sao. In this tape, I'm going to go a little bit more into Guo Sao, combat sticky hands, and how to defend against a lot of the moves I showed in my first series. Now, as we all know, sticky hands is not actual combat. There are no rules in life or death combat, but in Chi Sao, we must stick to the principles and techniques that are taught to us by the forms and drills of the system. We're not allowed to use non-Wing Chun techniques in Guo Sao. Although it's tough to let the ego go sometimes, I would actually prefer that you get hit trying to stick to proper technique and structure rather than anyhow doing just some crazy twisting or ducking motion just to avoid getting hit. This way, you'll eventually train yourself to use the correct Wing Chun reaction instead of some jacked up position that just saves you from one hit but doesn't leave you set up for your next move. Also in the same vein, only clean, telling blows count in Chi Sao. Now that doesn't mean we actually paste the guy in the face, because after all, we're trying to learn how not to get hit. No, both guys know when the hit was there without somebody actually getting clocked in the head. It's okay to thump them in the body, though. I guess what I'm trying to say is that combat sticky hand should be treated as an exercise rather than a contest. Think of it like a drill where you take turns being the winner, or like Silim Tao with a partner, and you have a better learning experience. In that way, it'll be more like a boxing match where both guys give and take punches, but one usually comes out on top in the end. Now, in some of the spontaneous Guo Sao matches we're going to be showing here, you're going to see me get hit sometimes too. Now, I've heard the myth about the master who's so great that no one can touch him. It's just that I haven't seen him yet. Alright, I'm here again with Fraser Smith and Al Ramirez doing the running commentary on the Chum Kiu, or stance pivot pull punch. And I don't pull any punches, let me tell you.
You sure don't.
Now here you can see that I am going to pull him, and there it is. Well, I pulled him into a chop actually in this case. But I'm going in, again, there it is, pulling him into the punch. We like to do that a lot. We like to pull him into a punch bowl if we can and drown him.
They're very effective at parties.
It is, yeah. And, you know, a lot of times what we do is pull that guy into the shot. There were three of them, I think, happening there. You try and pull him to what we call the dead side, which means a position of disadvantage.
Or the Jerry Garcia stance.
That's correct. You are correct, sir. So, again, there's the pull punch, a very commonly used technique in Wing Chun. Boy, I sure like hitting him in those ribs, don't I? I think I knew that he had a little soft spot there, and I just kept beating on it. See that?
Which he appreciated, I think.
He depreciated it. Now we're talking about Jeet Kune, which is the arrow punch. That's the punch I like to call the snake bite punch.
And what's the difference between the arrow and the snake bite?
Well, it's supposed to shoot in like an arrow. I just call it the snake bite punch because arrow is, after all, I think it's a brand of shirts. But the arrow punch, there it is a real quick shot, which it actually doesn't have the kind of body behind it that, say, a boxing punch would have, but it's the short, sharp punch that does more damage, kind of like a snake bite, because it takes a couple seconds before you feel that you've been hit. It's quick. There were a couple occasions, like I said earlier, in this taping, that guys got accidentally hit by the snake bite, not by me, of course, but were unable to continue.
Accidentally, of course.
Accidentally, on purpose. And in each of these cases, after the forearm strike here, in each of these cases, you're going to see, there it was again. So I like to shoot that quick, a quick shot in there. If I see a gap,
There goes the arrow.
I shoot that arrow
Right
into
in
the
snot
air.
box.
That's right. And ooh, there it is. So even in slow motion, it's still pretty slow. Here again, another example after the run. There it is. That quick arrow punch. It's actually derived from the Bu Sao motion, the Bu Jong Sao motion of the Chum Kiu form, which is the double straight arm thrust at the beginning of the form. It's almost uppercutish, vaguely, in its execution. You can see that my fist is sort of turned almost like an uppercut.
Speaking of an uppercut, do you ever throw that when you're holding someone's neck?
Oh, sure. That's my favorite time to do it. When we get to the uppercut section of this tape, you're going to see that. Now, there again was a quick one. I would call that the snake bite there,
Right.
more than anything. You know that joke about the cowboys and the snake bite, don't you? Doctor says you're going to die. Okay, there's the, again in slow motion, the chop kun setting up the arm break. There's a diagonal punch. There's a tanda. There's a gum da. Another punching attempt. And here, I think, is going to be the snake bite. There it goes. A real quick whip into the punch. Trying not to look too embarrassed for having double headbutted at the same time. There it is again. I like to finish up with that shot. It has a tendency to, like I say, have a delayed reaction.
A lot of times weeks later, sometimes years.
Oh yeah, well this guy,
The guy will
he's dead
topple
now.
over.
He dropped dead, I think, 3 months after we filmed this. And the doctor said it was the delayed effects of a snake bite. So in fact, I'm dedicating these tapes to the memory of Robert Earl. There it is in the stomach. But actually we're talking about the Jeet kun, the arrow punch, which I think I ended this engagement with. I mean, you know, anytime you give someone an arrow punch, pretty much the engagement's off.
It's over.
Hit him right in the gene there.
Yeah, the gene pool.
Right in the jeans.
I'll get you.
Now here's Pai Jiang. That's not his name, that's John, but Pai Jiang meaning the hacking elbow. Oh, hacking elbow.
You eventually have to pay John.
That's right.
He's got that hacking elbow. There's
Would
a
you-
case of it right there.
Would you like a little Pai Jiang? Oh, you can see that I, lost a little control there. And that explains the wet spot. Now, I hit John across the jaw with that elbow, and I didn't mean to. There were 2 elbow strikes there.
No, you didn't mean to though.
No. I just kind of said, hey, John. Again, you're going to see those same 2 elbow strikes there and there. And Bobby tried to return fire with that same elbow, too. A lot of times what the guys will do, you see, he got me with that elbow shot at the end. A lot of times what we do in Wing Chun is return a kind of a similar technique. If a guy keeps, elbows you in the face twice, you kind of get the idea to do the same thing yourself.
It's return to sender.
That's right, address unknown.
Yeah.
So he returned that elbow nicely to me. You can see that he still remembers it. And he...
Now, how good of a martial artist was Elvis?
Elvis was a 7th, I believe he was a 7th degree satin belt in some form of, no, actually he did practice Kenpo Karate under the late great Ed Parker. And so, he did have that actual, oh, there's the elbow strike, by the way. Not the Elvis strike. He did actually have a pretty high level of skill, and I understand his pelvis strike was...
Deadly.
Yeah, it was... one year his pelvis went on strike. There's that sweet Chum Kiu application.
Nice.
And, oh, there's the elbow. So that's what we were talking about there. Apparently we're still talking about... Oh, yeah, I tried that elbow shot, which he stopped. There's another. I just don't give up.
You don't.
And so what I try to be relentless.
That's why you're on the cover
That's right.
of this tape.
Among others. I'm undercover. Oh, on the cover. They said I'm undercover. Now there's the elbow shot and another, which you can see that if I just stepped in a little bit more, we would have seen that lovely face that Keith makes when he actually gets hit.
Well, you know, he's a good-looking guy. Until he gets hit.
We're looking for that elbow shot here. Oh, there it is. Now, that was a good example of what we call ding-jang, which is the butting elbow. Not to be confused with, I guess, Buddy Ebsen, who we talked about earlier. You see that he's got my arm trapped at the end, and I come rolling over the top with that elbow. It's called ding-jang whenever you are holding his arm or he's holding yours, and you sort of walk in and nail him with the butting elbow.
But see, when you do that butting elbow, the Buddy Ebsen elbow, you have to yell, "Wee doggies," every time you land it.
Oh, there it is, and wee doggies it is.
Yeah.
Now we're going back in for another, there's those elbow shots we saw earlier, to the body. You know, and you see I drop down into the stance from the pole form, and actually hit him in the ribs twice before he gets a chance to come back on me. That's pretty unexpected a lot of times in sticky hands, because normally you don't expect the guy to drop down like that, you know, until you've hit him. So here you can see I come across the rib. Ooh, look how red his rib is there. And I'd have to say that punch scored. But he's got that nice, look at that red spot on his rib from those elbows. Okay, now you can see here that, you know, he's suffering. And he's about to, oh, there's the headbutt, and there's the snake bite. Now we're talking about how to use your elbow to stop his elbow, which is, it's an elbow fest. So you see, when he grabs and goes for his elbow, I use the point of mine into his arm and just stop the elbow kind of, well, more like the broad part of the forearm across his forearm. So here you'll see he goes in, tries the elbow, I stop it across with my own, go for that Chang Dai Jiang. There's the Tanda, partially blocked.
He could actually use a set of red ribs.
Well, I think he's got one under there. Why is he smiling? He must have enjoyed that. Oh, there's the palm strike, and there's the other. Finishing up with the Bong Lap Fun, which is blocked. Now we're talking about grabbing and pulling him into the elbow shot, grabbing the neck, which I guess that was an attempt there. Whoop! And I wanted to make sure and get it that time. So you can see that I tried for it here, missed it. There, he blocked it. So not satisfied. There it was, and I reached for it. So the first time he did a good job of stopping it. Now that was well short, so I went to the body. There was a Gang Da there. Now here you can see I'm going to go for that attempt. There I've got his neck, but he got his hands up in time. So I just released that, waited for something to happen there, grabbed him, went into the Pak Da, and then
got it the second
look
time.
At that face. Now I leaped down with the Gum Jiang, and there again, right over the top. Now I like that particular move. When he tries to elbow me, what I tend to do is slip the elbow, and I slipped on his elbow, I think. Now, here, I slipped his elbow. It's about to happen here. There it is, and then right over the top, I use mine. Now, there was the stupid trap. And, oh, there it is again. You see the same kind of an idea happening there. I slip his elbow, I let it go past me, and then I come across. Now you're going to see, this is the one where you get a real good cheek vibration out of Mark.
And those cheek vibrations can be caused by a lot of things.
Well, in this case, it's a kind of a good vibration. Now watch, I slip that elbow and then, see that cheek?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got the cheek going there. He's a cheeky guy. Now Song Jiang is the backward cutting elbow. Sing us a song, Jiang. Why does he always hit whenever it's an elbow? I didn't do that on purpose, you know. But he seems to be in all the Jiang techniques.
Well, that's his name. That is.
No, that's why. Well, you see, he hardly...
kind of fell asleep on that.
Yeah, he didn't put up much of a defense there. But we used the backward cutting elbow from a closer range than the punch normally, in the same situation where you would like to punch if he backs up or if you're advancing, or both. Now, here again, I used it to throw. I put my leg behind him, and at the same time knocked him.
Now, is that the
backward.
butting elbow where he lands on his butt?
Yeah, that's one of them. Now, here you can see he used the elbow to the butt. He fell down. Now, Chum Jang is the sinking elbow. There it was there. And that's where I kind of get him by the back and I can wham. Drop that. Have you met my Chum Jang?
I think we have now.
So here he is. We're going to drop that right on the spine. Good thing he's not spineless. And there again, I think we saw that combination earlier when we were talking about the upward elbow. And again, why is it always John on the Jang techniques? But you see the upward, and there's the Chum Jang coming down on the sternum. You ever use that on a camping trip? Sternum? You cook
Only
with.
if I have to.
Yeah. So you saw that downward elbow strike to the chest bone. Oh, my chest bone! Which is connected to the rib bones. And again, finishing up the combination. Now, that time I used Chum Jang as a block. You could see that he, tried the low shot, and I brought my elbow down just quick enough to stop that shot, hopefully, which we'll be able to see in slow motion. But Chum Jang is used a lot of times to stop the shot. And they're just, to exclude him out, and not allow him to get that body shot in. Then I follow up with, well, there's a Fanda, as in, I guess, Bridget, and almost a stupid trap there with the headbutt. Now you saw John use his own Chum Jang there to stop that last shot. Why is he smiling?
Because he didn't fall for the stupid thing.
Now here's the Jeep Sow, which you could see that you called, I guess, a cheap shot earlier.
Well, I thought it was a cheap shot.
Well, it was, But here, once I score with the run...
Ooh, a cheap shot there, right
there's
there.
The there's the cheap shot. And you can see that he's pretty much got a broken arm, so whatever he does with that hand doesn't count. There it was again. Why does he always fall for that? So we use the Jeep Sow to hyperextend the opponent's arm, and also as a cheap shot. There it is again. So in slow-mo, you see that I attempt the punch. Well, I actually scored it, and then when he tried to hit me back, I jeeped him. I made him think he was in the Army, and I met him with a Jeep. Now we're talking about the waist trap, which you can see I slip my hand around his waist, and of course he doesn't try to stop me, thinking that it's a friendly gesture.
Oprah's had that waist trap for years.
Yeah, she
Thought that was a garbage disposal kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's wasted. Now here you see I slip around, trap that waist, and ricochet him back into that elbow shot. There's the Fanda, which he blocked, and I ran down to the Loi Fan Chop Kun. So I'm coming in. There's the leakage attack. He's doing some blocking out there, but I am getting through occasionally. Now we're talking about Lan Sao again. That time it was a pull punch. My Bong Sao converted to a Lan Sao pull across. And didn't he play the Wolfman? Wasn't that Lan Sao?
I think you're right again.
Or was that... No, that was Lon Chaney. Now, here you can see the Bong convert to a grab from the inside. Then I had to back up with the Pak. There's a Lap Sao Loi Fan Kun. And again, trying to get Keith to do that face. And hopefully, if I'm able to smack him there, we'll see it. It's that kind of puffy cheek kind of face. That might have been
famous for.
That might have been it there, yeah.
There it was.
Now here's the neck break. Oh. Yeah, that's a real pain in the neck. Now you can see that what I do is slip, after having hit to the waist, I slip up to the Loi Pak Sao, trapping the shoulder, and then just give him the Gum Jang palm heel across the chin, going against...
guys pay a lot to chiropractors for that same move.
Well, I got an uncle in Cairo. He's a chiropractor. Now you can see that, well, you can't see it now. Now here's the Ngoi Doi Gakun, or outward diagonal punch, which I use in this case because Keith's arm was a little bit too much in on the fook sao, so I just kind of push it in the direction that it seemed to want to go. If you notice his left hand, the elbow being in, what I do is from the bottom here, I try and just force that hand in with the diagonal punch. Well, he did manage to block it, but at least that's how I would have used it. Now he's got a pretty fierce face on there.
He is smelling something bad.
And we're trading off punches there. He's all over me like a cheap suit. There again. Now he fell for it that time. Now let's see how that looks. Again, you see how I just pushed his arm off to the inside. So the first time I did it to him, he did block it, but this time, nope, it goes right through. There's my first 3 shot score before he comes back. And again, he is throwing some punches out there. It looks like in this particular exchange, oh, there's an inclusion he did on me. But in that exchange, I was kind of getting the better of him for a while there. Now, here's John, looking kind of like Stevie Wonder out into space. Now here, I used the outward diagonal punch, which he stopped with the bu sao. And I have to use the bong. There's the lop fun sao. He stopped that. He's doing a pretty good job of blocking out there. Oh, but the elbow managed to get him, and he partially blocked that palm strike. Now, Ngoi Sin Wai is the outside-facing footwork sidestep. So you see why?
Yeah.
You see why?
I've seen him.
Yeah, I've seen why as well. You see what happens here is I step off to the side to get a better angle.
Now, can that also be done to relieve pressure if the guy's bearing in on you?
Well, normally that is what you use it for, is to step off to the side, relieving the pressure, and at the same time getting an advantage of facing, trying to face what we call the dead side. So I always try to walk to my opponent's dead side and sticky hands when I can. That's what the footwork's all about. You're always trying to jockey for position.
When you say the dead side, what do you mean? That could be actually either side, or?
Well, either side, as long as you're in a position where your front faces his back. Now this is Loi Sin Wai, which is the inside-facing footwork. But again, trying to get to the dead side. You're going to see that what I do at the beginning here is take a step, and this time 3 times. And what I was trying to do was get him to react to my first stance movement and then try to cut back while he was still turning. So here, I step that way and I try to get him, well, I did manage to score on him. But what I was trying to do really was to get him to react to one of the stance turns and then come back on him. You know, while he's still sort of reacting to the first one.
You see why he does that?
I see why. So, now, here we are with the Jing Jang exclusion, which is pushing out with the palm strike. So I'm actually using my palm strike to, there it was, to send his hand to the outside line. So that's what I call an exclusion. There it is. So by taking control of the center line with the elbow in the middle, you can sort of push the guy's hand outward and still hit him while blocking. So the forearm of my left hand, I think it's going to happen real soon here. There it is. The forearm blocks him out while the palm heel goes right into the face.
Inside, right.
Now Jing Ma, which is to return to center, which I think we did. We performed that, yeah.
We did that.
So what you're going to see, well, you're probably not going to see as well here, but I needed some pivot power. I didn't want to turn all the way to where my dead side would be exposed to him. So after the buse, I pulled him into the punch. See, I just pivoted to my middle horse, because if I turned all the way through, that would have been showing him my back. And if you know John like I do,
you don't want to do that with John.
You don't want to turn your back on him, and don't drop the soap. Now there's the snake bite punch at the end. Now here's how I use fook sao, more of a combat use. There it was. It's a sort of a, it's kind of got that jut vibe going, but it's not exactly a jut sao, because it's in a yang application. So what we say in Wing Chun is fook them if they can't take a jut.
I'll write that down.
Now, there it is there. There's the fook sao. And now again we're going to see the fook sao in use. There it is. I just had to circle my hand real short into the fook sao. So you see that my hand was down on the low line, and I didn't have much time. It's going to happen right there. Didn't have much time, so I had to whip my hand out and around in a quick circle. I think I saw another one in there. We'll check it out in the slow motion. Now, first off, after the cut, you're going to see that my hand's down on the low line, right here, and then I circle it around and meet that hand with the fook sao, which converted into the more natural Siulim Tao kind of fook sao. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a jam. We might see another fook sao in there. Well, there was an inclusion and 2 palm strikes. So, you just saw the one fook sao in there. Now here's another combat usage of fook sao after the stupid trap.
It's so stupid.
It is, and there it was.
What's false for that?
It's hard to believe that a guy with an English education
Could be so stupid on that one move.
You know, and he's always falling for it. Now let's see that in slow motion. We're looking for the fook sao. Picture perfect application of the stupid trap there, I must say.
Really, so stupid.
And here we go. There's a run around into the chop. There's the punch. There's the fook sao against his punch. And an excluding palm strike. There's the layover trap into the headbutt. And that ever-popular snakebite punch. There's a fook sao with the back bracing footwork.
I like that.
So, backing up, I run around. There's the fook sao. You always want to make sure and keep your elbow in on fook sao. So
why is that?
Well, you always want to keep the fook in, because keep the fook and elbow in, because what happens is you use it to include not just with the hand but the whole arm.
So keep the fook in or get the fook out.
That's probably one of the better ways to describe it.
Uh-huh.
Now here we're going into the jinggyuk or straight kick, which went to his knee, and you can see that what I did here was kind of pull him into that kick to the knee and then went into a shadowless or invisible knee strike.
I couldn't see that.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
You want to see it again? Now there it is, and there's the invisible knee strike. Oh, right in the
I
schwanz.
should say that was his knee.
Well,
If
actually,
that's his knee. He's very popular.
well, it goes probably about down to his knee.
Uh-huh.
Now, I mean the kick does.
Oh.
It goes down to his knee. Here again, oh, there it is again, a very similar combination. I mean, if it works, you go with it. Now you can see what I did there. Oh, I ran that chop around. Is from position, pulled him in, there's the kick, there's the knee, shadowless, landing with a grab and punch combination and trying to work my way in.
Now, what are those things on the floor if it's shadowless?
Yeah, what are those?
Those are, what are those? Oh, now we're talking about Ngoi Tiu Gyat, which is the, outward instep kick. And there it is, to the ribs. And, he had a pretty bad case of bruised ribs here, because here's what happened. Right in the rib, shadowless, well, used to be shadowless.
Shadowless with a shadow.
Would have been shadowless had there not been a shadow. Now, and then finishing off with the quick pelvis kick learned from the king.
There you go. Only the shadow knows where those came from.
There's the outward diagonal knee strike. Here, again, I pull him in and use the knee to the chest bone. So I need him.
To do that.
Here it is.
Uh-huh.
Right? And there's the shadowless side kick. Of course, he backed out before I could really get much of a knee shot. But by then, his leg's broken. We like kicking the knees a lot. Now here's the leakage attack. There it was there. Leakage attack is when, there's another one, is where you actually have an opponent who's in proper structure and you just slightly alter your own position and then slide in or leak through his defense. So when you take a leak on defense, it's called a leakage attack. So here you can see, I'm going to do it again here, from the jump, there, right through, over the top of his bone, and finishing up with the, find out, oh, that must have hurt. See that little church lady footwork he did there? Now, again, we're talking about leakage attack. There it was, right over the top. We always like to try and come right in over the top and slip through the gap. I'm talking about Chiso now. And there it was. I wish you'd stop that with the stomach growling out. And there's the arrow punch. Jeet
Part of the
Kune.
sound effects, Randy.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
You can call me Andy if you want. There's the leak through the middle. Just don't call me late for dinner. And again, finishing up. Whoa, there's another leak. So you know I'm big on leaking.
Seems to be. You gotta watch that bladder.
You know, you're in trouble. I've been having a lot of that lately. There's the headbutt showing off the hair development. And again, we're talking, oh, well, there's that waist trap that we talked about before, and I'm going to show, there's the leak. You know, like I said, a lot of these combinations show more than one classic example of a technique. So that's why I'm showing them over and over. In this case, you're going to see a real classic
Waist trap.
waist trap. You know your terminology. He's waist head. Now you see I ran under with the Leufan chop Kune. There's the chop, which he keeps blocking me, and here is the perfect chance to leak through. And there again
That was me that
is
time.
the stomach growling technique.
That was the sand trap,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Yeah. There was a nice Chum Kiu. Sweet.
Nice.
And there's some wild and wacky technique being shown here.
It's wild.
And wacky. Now, his eyes look almost closed, don't they?
That's 'cause they are.
I can't see. So good. Oh, look at that. Now here's the Chum Kiu, which is the arm break. Oh, we've seen that, but we're highlighting that particular movement. So I'm your chum. Please don't kill me. There it is.
You missed his cue.
Lucky I didn't miss mine. Now here you see, that nice straightening of the elbow, which can spoil a guy's whole afternoon. You know, I particularly like this combination because I don't think I get hit here. Now again, there's that Chum Kiu. So you saw that punch. You can sort of feel it coming when your hand is in there. Yeah, I'm referring to sticky hands again. Your hand's in there, and you feel the opportunity to just catch up to the strike. See, my hand's well in, and there, I just sort of sandwich him in between. Now, again, unplanned, there it was. And again, we've seen that technique before, but it was a good example here with my hand being inside after the leak to use that Chum Kiu. So I set it up with the leak. You talked about how I set things up. And here, by going down to the body, right now, it set up that Chum Kiu arm break. And then I finished up with the chop. And that was basically just to insult him.
Yeah, because
At the
you've
end.
already broken his arm.
Yeah, so we add injury to injury. Now, Chao Kun is the drilling punch or uppercut of Wing Chun. There's a few different types of uppercut. Well, there's two different types of uppercut.
Oh, okay.
It sounded better to say a few, though.
I like that.
Here, I go to the body after the initial attempt is blocked, and there was the uppercut to the ribs, and that caused that face that you see now.
Ooh, God.
And,
Anytime
here-
you get a guy to make a face like that, you've basically won.
you know, because he's on film.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm going to use an uppercut here somewhere. There, well, no, maybe not. That might have, there it was. Now, it went right up through the middle. When I found the gap, you see what happened here is I found the gap. That's where I bought that outfit I'm wearing.
Looks very nice.
And here, in slow motion, you're probably going to be able to pick it up. I pull him down. There's the upward forearm attack. And again, I kind of went through the middle. Chang Dai Jiang to that same spot on his... That must have hurt by the end of the day. And there's the snake bite. And right up underneath with the uppercut. Did you hear the way it beeped when it hit him?
Yeah, that happened.
That's the special Casio technique.
The beep sound.
So here again, now there was a crawl over into an uppercut. Here, my arm crawls in, and there I go with the uppercut. Kicked his foot out from under him, and, carried on from there.
Using his Adam's
I
apple
wish-
as a speed bag.
Now here's the pull the neck trap into the uppercut. So somehow or another here I'm going to get his neck trapped and finish probably with the
Kung Pao chicken.
wow. So you're going to notice that I'm working my way, working, and finally ending up with the neck trap and the uppercut to the body. So that put the kibosh on his ribs once and for all.
Is that Chinese kibosh?
Kielbasi is, I guess, when you murder a cow, is when you kielbasi. Now,
Who stole the kishka?
real men don't eat kishka, do they? Now
Not
here's
anymore.
the. To be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea what I'm trying to point out here, so I'm just going to.
What are you trying to point out?
What's your point? I think we're still.
That's the ear
oh,
pull.
that's it again. Yeah, there's the.
I saw that in WWF.
The ear hold.
The ear pull.
Oh, ear pull,
You pull the guy's ear right off.
and you make necklaces out of it. Now here again, I was looking for the neck trap and uppercut, and I ended up with the neck trap and elbow. There it is there. Now here, I tried for that first elbow shot. Oh, there it was to the body. So you did see the uppercut to the solar plex. Which, if you'd ask Kenny, he'd probably say, yeah, but I had my force field up and it, didn't get through. And you could. This is the one where I was trying for that elbow shot earlier, and so I just would not give up. And I just played this back because of this face here. Look at that. I like that face. He lost face. Now there was a hair pull uppercut, which he's not only the president of the Hair Club for Men.
Now, if that's a piece that he's wearing, that'll come right off.
Yeah, and you can also embarrass the guy while beating him up.
I guess that's the point.
Like in the movies when they pull the lady's wig off and she starts screaming and leaves the room.
Uh-huh.
It's a, healthy alternative to a real fight. Now there's the hair pull and uppercut. So I go right up underneath the chin. Chin ho. And a little bit of flailing going on there. Finishing with the palm strike to the face. I think Bobby was about to hit me there, but luckily Scott edited it out. Now here's the uppercut against the uppercut, which I just used there. And that's where you'll notice in my left hand, it's done now, but you're going to notice the left hand being used against his uppercut with my own uppercut. And that's there. So you're including or pushing his uppercut inward while simultaneously attacking the body. So let's see if we can spot that. I try the Busao, he backs up. Comes back, I back up into the bong. Lop Fun, which he blocks with Wusao. There it was. Punch his punch when he tried for that rib shot. Not a rim shot, but rib shot.
Ah.
And again, this was, he was trying for that Chum Kiu, and I tried. That's that one where we just can't seem to make that happen. But, look at that neck vibration. Now we're talking about leaking into the uppercut, which is a way of sneaking through the middle. There it was. You might not have seen it, but we'll see it in slow motion. It was just a quick shot up through the gap, and it's going to happen right there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that I snuck right up underneath into the uppercut to the jaw. So initially I tried the uppercut, which he blocked. I ran it around. He blocked that. Getting a little frustrated here. Not able to score too much. So finally just had enough and said, right.
Now, is it also true, as in boxing, that those short punches have sometimes the most effect?
Yeah, in Wing Chun, the short, sharp punches are the ones that really do the most damage. That's why you see me use that so much, that Jeet Kune. It's a real good finishing punch. It does a lot of damage. In fact, like I said, a couple of guys got hurt pretty bad by those. There's a leak right up through the middle. We saw this earlier. You can see that Kenny gets me around the back of the neck. And he was probably going to do some horrible thing to me. And I managed to get through the middle with that uppercut and then right over the top. So that wasn't quite the way he planned it to turn out, Took a little of the wind out of his sails. And there again, I leaked up underneath with that uppercut. So we've seen this combination, but again, this time I'm talking about there, that uppercut. So we'll see it a little bit towards the end. After pulling him down, forearm blow upwards to the throat, the punch, and I just saw a gap, and there's the body shot. It's going to be somewhere around here. I'm going to see a gap in his defense. There it was, and right up underneath into that uppercut. Now, lap fook is a grab out of thin air, which I just did. That's when your arm kind of scoops outward across, and there it was again. Traps a guy and pulls him into the shot, which is also called fanda. We've been through that, I think. Maybe if I would have said Jane, it would have been funny.
Well.
So here again, you're going to see the grab and punch, or rather the attack to the ribs.
You're grabbing, jabbing.
And there it is. There's that lap fook.
Those red ribs.
The red rib make me feel so glib.
That's a McRib.
Well, he's not Irish. He's actually British. Now, I'm constantly using that fook cell, or lap fook, in that technique, just trying to get the trap. And again, there it was a lap fook after the waist trap. When he springs back up, I catch him with that lap fook cell. You'll see it here. You're probably sick of this waist trap.
I kind of like it.
Well, you're going to see here.
Reminds me of the earthquake.
There it is. There it is. The big one. So there's a leakage attack, and again, probably you've probably seen all these techniques before, but a new slant on it with the lap fook. Now, I used that lap fook in this case. There it is. That's any time when you sort of reach and grab a guy's hand out of thin air and pull him into the strike. So you see there was a couple of shots to the head. There was your lap fook. And again, there was one of those examples of Kenny hitting at the same time as I did. The thing is, if you notice, when I'm holding his other hand, it sort of takes some of the wind out of his sails because he can't get that shoulder and hip behind the punch. So even though it looks like an exchange of punches, hopefully the guy grabbing has the advantage. There was a lap fook there after that run to the double spade palm. So we've seen that technique before. There's the hit and the headbutt, the punch, and here I just reach out and touch someone and follow with the triple punch idea. Now we're going into Wangyuk, which is the sidekick. Have you met my sidekick?
Al?
Yeah, well, he's your sidekick, isn't he?
Oh, yeah,
I thought he was your sidekick.
No, wait a minute.
No,
You mean, that's why...
I'll have to flip over it.
Well,
No, don't take that.
I'll flip you. Now, again, the sidekick is used here with a shadowless or kick twice without putting the foot down. Of course, he kicked me back in the leg, but you didn't see that. Now, there's another kick to his knee. While he punched, I backed up the body, leaned backwards, and side kicked him. There was the knee shot, and that uppercut to the body, and another knee shot leaning back to avoid the punch. And there was a finishing side kick to the side of the knee. Scotty cleverly edited out me almost falling down afterwards. There's another side kick to the knee that bends him over. And, well, look at that. Kind of had a little of that Jerry Lewis vibe going there, didn't he?
Yeah, he was walking on his ankles there for a second.
He had that Nutty Professor thing happening.
Every time he swung, he said, "Lady."
And here it goes here. Watch this. Oh, that straightened him right out.
That's the Jerry Lewis one.
And there was another shadowless side kick after the fook knee, and another side kick, which to the pelvis. See, there was a shadowless side kick to the leg, and here, oh,
Fook knee, too.
that was two fook knees. There's the tanda. Oh, fook knee, side kick
It's that
to the leg.
shadowless thing going on there.
Yeah, I wish we could have got rid of those shadows. It's really making me look silly here. And there it is. Oh, right in the pelvis. Now we're talking about Loi Tiu Gyuk, which is the round kick, which I was attempting to the genital area. Oh, no, actually it wasn't. It was to the inside of the knee, wasn't it? Which in Kenny's case...
So, in some people's case, that is the genital.
Right. It certainly probably is in John's case. Now here's the pot punch, and I used a side kick to kind of push his leg down, and again tried the side kick while he was backing up. And there's the knee again, which was partially blocked. Yeah. Now, Loi Doi Gak Gyuk is the inward knee that you just saw there. I really need him. And I finished with the side kick. So there it was. You can see he's got terrific balance there, managing to avoid falling down. You can see that the only thing holding him up basically is my trap. And there again is the pelvis kick. Now Lao Setso, Lao Setso is the leg trap that you see me applying here, where I sweep his foot out from under him.
That's the really stupid trap.
That's the hook of the leg there, and of course pulling him out and just finishing up by breaking my knuckles on the back of his head. Now there again was a hook of the leg. That was more of a Ngao Gyuk leg hook, but I kind of used that to take his balance a little bit, which you can see helped me get chopped across the throat at the end. Now what you may not have seen in that combination was that while he was getting that chop in on the high line, I think I had a kick in on his leg, which would have taken some of the steam out of that chop. Actually, I didn't. Now, here's the Dai Bong Sao, which is the low wing arm deflection. And I got a little elbow shot there from Bobby, and there's the double knockout from Rocky again. So you see the low wing arm being used there. And there's the elbow shot, partially blocked, and there's the double knockout. Now, there's something I like to point out about that at the end there, and that is that you're going to notice that it looks like, this is one of those situations where it looks like Bobby's got the shot on me at the same time as I've got one on him. But if you notice, what happens is I have his hand trapped at the end. So I'm controlling his yang power, which tends to take some of the steam out. You see that on that freeze frame, I'm actually holding his yang side. So he can still hit me, but not with the same degree of force that I can hit him.
And if you did that with your feet, it would be a yang side kick, right?
Well, it would, especially if his name would have been Yang or Young. Now, here we're talking about, again, the Dai Bong Sao, which is the low wing arm deflection. And that was a little fast. You're probably not going to see it as much, but you can see it a couple times there where my arm collapses into the low, there again, collapses into the low bong position. A lot of times the low bong is really a transitional position. From here, when I was slapped down, I collapsed. There again, I collapsed into the low bong. Without any real threat coming in, I try to use the low bong collapsing there to take some of the pressure out of his push.
Al collapsed in a low bong once, but...
He did. He collapsed at a bar last night. He was doing the bar arm.
Well, those kills bong hits, I think.
Too many bong hits. There's that low, and the toot sao, I think he was doing a little too much there. There's that low bong sao again, there, being used against Gavin's attempt at what's called Hun Guat Sao, which is the circling cut. So when Gavin tries to, like, scoop me out here after he does his job, there, you can see he's trying to hit me low, and I just guide him over and then go into the grab and palm strike. So, you know, the low bong sao is primarily used really not so much to stop punches out of thin air as it is a transitional or conversion position. Now, ducking is always important. Did you hear about the duck that went in for a beer? He said, give me a beer, put it on my bill. Now, ducking is a sort of an abstract concept in Wing Chun, and that is, you know, using a slight motion of your body, not necessarily downward, but in that case, ducking applies to backing up and creating the space needed to avoid being hit. Ducking can entail, you know, being hit and collapsing a little bit to take some of the steam out of the punch. There was a duck which I shot when I went skeet shooting. No, actually, you saw me duck down below the punch.
Now, let me ask you, when you're doing the ducking, I don't notice you slipping a lot of punches with head movement. Is that ever done with Wing Chun?
Wing Chun tries to stay more straight up and tries to duck actually by moving the whole body. Like in this case, I moved backwards just enough to avoid, that punch. So that was an application of the ducking. I learned that technique in Peking. It was the Peking duck, actually. Now you're going to see what happens here I think it's a little ways into the combination. Mark was getting pretty close. Well, I think he would have actually probably scored or came close. There was an application of ducking and just getting your head out of the way just enough to avoid that shot. It's a game of inches, and which, you know, applies to a lot of things, I guess. But in this case, there was a little duck at the end. In this case, just backing up enough, like when I kicked while he tried to punch. There, again, that's an application of ducking.
But just as it's often easy to deflect something with an easy movement, isn't moving your head or ducking as you're using it here, the simplest movement can sometimes make his punch miss.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's, you know, what we try to do when necessary. But of course, Wing Chun likes to capitalize on the opponent trying to hit us. So we don't use ducking, you know, as a general rule, but in a more of an emergency application. What I'd rather do, there's a good application of ducking. What I'd rather do is hit him while he's trying to hit me. But in this case, I was sort of in a little trouble there. Oh, I had to just back up while I was kicking him. So that would have been an application of ducking. So you see, here, I stopped his kick, was throwing a series of punches. My hands are low there, and so I had to just lean back because I couldn't get my hand up in time to stop that punch on his part. So that's what we call ducking. Now, raising tonso was when my hand was collapsed downwards at the very beginning of that combination, and I flipped the tonso upwards, and
There goes Al's stomach again.
Boy, I tell you what, you got to try some Rolaids or something. Now, there was the raising ton, which I learned in Arizona. Raising Arizona.
I caught that.
Thank you. And what I did was basically come up from the low bong sao position and take over the trap with the raising tan. Not the raisin tan.
Now, the California raisins are Wing Chun experts.
That's right, the California raisin tan. Now here's the raisin body. And, you know, I was a little wrinkled up, so the guys were telling me I kind of had a raisin body. Now in that case, I used the raising body power to supplement the elbow strike that comes up the middle. Sometimes when you're too close to pivot, you try to use a little raise of the body to power that. Right now we're talking about the Popeye Jiang, which is the twin palm strike, not to be confused with the Popeye Jiang.
Or the Pope Eye Jiang. You know, the Pope.
The Pope Eye. Yeah, you hit him in the eye. You see what happened there is I gave him the Pope Sao, which is a twin palm strike simultaneous. Now that's used a lot against hook attacks as well. In this case, now we're going into the Kwak Sao, which is the fake Chinese doctor, the Kwak.
Now when you say a hook attack, someone's throwing a hook, like a left hook or something, you throw that palm punch straight?
Yeah, what I like to do is try and stop a hook punch with a two-handed, what we call Popeye Sao. Now in this case, we're talking about the Kwak Sao movement, which is the spreading hand. So you watch here, I'm going to, well, now we're talking about Samgat Ma, which is the, not the Some Young Guy, but the Samgat Ma.
Number 35 on your menu.
That's right. Now, Samgat Ma is the triangle footwork. So what I'm doing is stepping up and then stepping back, changing the angle. Hyun Wang Gyuk is the circle sidekick, which I used to his ribs. Here you see what I do is I step off and circle that sidekick into the ribs and fall into that punch. Now again, another sidekick to the leg. You can see that has, well, there's some stop kicks happening here, which were not pre-planned. You can see that has some stopping power. Now Gum Jiang is the downward palm heel edge strike, which I did right at the very beginning of this combination. So if Keith would just stop punching me here, I could show you the slow motion.
Yeah, what's Keith trying to do?
I don't know, what's he trying to prove there? Now there it is, cutting down to the tummy and following up. So you've seen the Gum Jiang. There was that face. I can't see. So good. Now, oh, again, there's a cut from over the top with the Gum Jiang. And there's that elbow strike over the top. Now, Jun Bak means pivoting shoulder. In that case, I used it as an emergency block to stop Gavin's punch. So here it was, spinning off to the side with that shoulder hit. And again, finishing him off with a series of punches. Now, we use the shoulder also to break the arm. There. I went to the elbow, and you could see that
Can you see it in slow motion?
I don't know, can we? Oh, yeah, there it is.
There you go.
So we've got that shoulder break. So while we're about to take a shoulder break, I just want to thank my guests, Fraser Smith and Al Ramirez. Thanks very much for your help, and come back again when you can't stay longer.
Thank you, Sifu.
Hey, it's in the mail.
We'll see if you're around.
All right, that's all for now. So until next time, this is Randy Williams reminding you that self-defense is a serious issue. In New York City alone, every 5.2 minutes, a man is beaten in the street. Imagine how that poor bastard feels at the end of the day. See you later.